Let's edit a personal statement live and in real time. Now, obviously, I can't violate my client's privacy by showing you the personal statement, but I'm going to give you some of the reactions I'm having to it as I'm editing it. And I'm going to focus on some of the things that I see in a lot of personal statements and see what we can learn from it. So I'm in paragraph 1 here, and I'm seeing a lot of keywords that suggest a childlike voice, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. So we're being introduced to the author of this personal statement in a very childlike voice, rather than them starting with some more mature, recent discussion and then going back to reference earlier life things as needed in the voice of a reflective adult. I talk about this a lot in my personal statement writing guide bundle, which you can get at the link in my bio. Now let's keep going. Noticing the words fear and uncertainty and some other kind of negative emotional keywords. When you start off your personal statement like that, it kind of kills the vibe. Remember that primacy is really important. People remember the thing you start off with first, and you want to start off with a more forward-facing, inspired, excited tone rather than all this drama and negative stuff. This is a really common mistake too with the intro paragraph, is that the reader doesn't actually get anything about it. Like we don't learn anything about the author from the initial paragraph. The only thing that the initial paragraph is doing is setting up a bunch of drama and intrigue, but I didn't really learn anything about them from that first paragraph. Remember that you only have so much character count for this essay. You want to make sure that every paragraph actually gives the reader something about you that they can take away. The second paragraph is just a continuation on the first. That happens quite often where we're just continuing the story, but again, there isn't actually anything in it about the client that I can take away and learn about them. Okay, I'm in the third paragraph. One of the things that is occurring to me is when you start a paragraph, if you want the reader to actually care about what's in the paragraph, you have to tell them what the point of it is. Vague dramatization and flowery language that's supposed to pull them in really isn't going to work in this setting. You have to let the admissions committee know that you're about to tell them something really valuable about you. That way, they will want to read on in the paragraph and they'll know what they should be paying attention to. 4 paragraphs in, and honestly, my eyes hurt. I see this a lot, where people use the most complex, flowery, stilted language in their personal statements. But why? There's this sort of popular misconception that the more complex your language is, the more advanced your language is, the better it'll be. No. Elegance is in simplicity. Get to the point. Write the way that you speak, clearly. Another thing I'm thinking about is logic. So sometimes this author will tell a story and then they will say, and that's how I learned this. But what they learned is not really clearly a direct consequence of the story that they shared. You have to check if you're using a story as evidence to substantiate a claim you're making about something you learned. The evidence actually has to substantiate that claim. It has to be obvious how you learned that thing from the story you're sharing. Almost at the bottom of the first page, and I'm just startled by the sheer amount of flowery, dramatic language. All of the personal statement, you want the language to be concise, direct, and effective. You want to be directly communicating, this is what I did, this is what I learned, this is what I did with that inspiration. Just get the point across as directly as possible. Remember, admissions committees are looking for you to have excellent communication skills, and excellent means efficient and effective. Everyone just looks at the writing and gets what you mean, and it's not hard to do that. Nobody is impressed if you start writing this thing as if you're writing some sort of novel. This is not your interpretation of a fantasy book. It's a direct professional application essay. Almost at the bottom of this thing, and there's absolutely no cohesion whatsoever. So, there's no sense of, we started with this insight and explored it by doing this and learned this and did this next thing. It's like a bunch of random paragraphs about random things. There's no sort of consistency that shows me how the person went from one stage of growth to the next. And that's one of the things you try to do in a really good personal statement. Absolutely love the conclusion though. The conclusion here, it does this really great thing where it describes what medicine is to this person. It's just concise, and it brings a definition of what the person thinks medicine is. Medicine to me means X, Y, Z. And it lands because it's concise, because it's pithy. The problem is the rest of the essay was full of dramatic and flowery language that obfuscated the actual points the person was trying to make. So whereas I would have understood that passion before I got to the conclusion and really believed that pithy conclusion, I don't, because most of the rest of the essay was dramatization. That's why being direct and clear is so important, so that the conclusion will really land. I have no idea if this was helpful. I found myself really wishing I could give specific examples, but That's the nature of confidentiality in admissions consulting, so I can't. But I hope that these general principles will be somewhat useful to some of you. And you can kind of see how someone in my position reacts when we're reading through one of these dramatic, flowery documents and wishing we could actually understand clearly and concisely what the person's trying to say. If you're not sure how to accomplish that, go ahead and check out the personal statement writing guides at the link in my bio. And if this is really hard for you and you want to be trained on how to do it, send me an email. Again, you can do that at the link in my bio, and we can see about getting you set up with myself or one of my expert consultants to train you in how to write these documents effectively. And of course, you can always leave a comment down below because I am always here and always trying to help.